Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn, and today we are continuing the 100 Dragon Challenge. So, I know last episode I told you guys, wow man, I'm just doing more complicated dragons every week. Well, we got another one, and it's another water-based dragon. So today we are doing a coral dragon. So first of all, thanks for the suggestion, guys, because this for sure is not one that I would ever think of. And it's a really cool concept to do this interesting sea creature based dragon, but based off of different types of coral. And that also was really cool because there's just so many different types and textures to coral, and I had a lot of fun researching that because there were so many options, and it was really hard to kind of narrow it down to a couple of different ones. So while I was doing research, there was a couple of different ones that I am kind of pulling some inspiration from. So first off, I really like kind of the more, I don't think you would call them traditional coral, but I got a lot of inspiration from like branch coral, and I think it's called staghorn coral. I remember I used that one as inspiration for my opal kelpie. I know I used that one for the horn idea. And then for the chest, I found this really cool coral called bubble coral, which just kind of looks like these weird, interesting, like greenish jelly bean shaped things. And I thought that'd be a really cool and interesting texture to have on the stomach. And then the overall design of this dragon, I have it inspired from the type of seahorse. I don't know their technical name, but I know they're called sea dragons, at least like I guess, what do you call a name that's the informal name? That's not a scientific name. I guess just this name. Anyway, the sea dragon, seahorse, I based the overall design off of that for this coral dragon because it lent a lot of room for me to incorporate coral. And then I really love the bigger kind of like, I guess you could call them almost like sails, but they look kind of like kelp. They're really cool and interesting creatures that have some really awesome texturing to them. And I thought it was just a cool opportunity to use that in this. I know that I've actually had a couple requests asking for me to do like a sea dragon, seahorse dragon. So this is kind of hitting both suggestions at once. So with the overall concept figured out, I jumped in and started doing the more refined sketch. And I really wanted to show off the entire body, so I knew this one was going to take up most of the page. And I also knew I was in for a long haul of a lot of detailing. Because I was adding so much coral and there's a lot of detailing just based off of the sea dragon, like seahorse, I'm probably just gonna have to say the whole thing because it always throws me off when I just say sea dragon. But based off of that detailing and some of the smaller details that I wanted to add in, I knew this one was gonna take quite a while. And oh my gosh, honestly, it was so fun to just sketch this and think this out because I had fun just being like, oh, what other coral could I add? Like, what other little things could I do? And I had a lot of fun just adding all these different coral horns and like spikes that are based off of the different coral. And then I had the idea of, oh no, is it called a sea anemone? Anemone? What is it called? Yeah, so a sea anemone. Anemone. I thought about those as well, and I was like, well, what if we added that to the side of the body for some cool texture as well? So I added that and started to jump into the final inking phase. And this is where I really just let loose and added a bunch of detailing. Like I try to save time and make these really efficient, just because, especially if they're gonna take so much work and effort to get done, and I only have a limited amount of hours to do each of these dragons, I've been kind of doing a much looser sketch and kind of just putting in the certain details that I absolutely want there, and then leaving the finer details for later when I come in with my pen. And I think that's just because I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my inking and a little bit more confident in just when like I go in and start inking, I feel much more confident in just placing lines. I used to be a lot more hesitant on it and be like wanting every single line to be at least sketched out so I knew for sure what I was doing and that I had everything where I wanted it. But recently I've been feeling a lot more comfortable with just being like, you know, maybe I'll just add this random thing here. For example, all the little coral spikes and things, I added extra layers of them later on, and then extra smaller details in different places, and I think that just comes with a lot of practice and experience for sure. I know I get some messages here and there from different viewers asking, like, you know, how do I know where to put certain details, or, you know, how do I know when to add that random one little line that adds some weird texture to it that just wraps up the whole piece. I know that's kind of a lofty statement there, but I honestly just kind of feel it out. There's a comic by, he used to go by Owl Turd, or maybe that's his comic on Webtoons, like that's what it goes under. But it's this one, his character looking at this majestic artist painting this amazing piece, and he's like, oh my god, you're so amazing, how do you do it? Like, how do you know what to do? And the artist is like, that's the thing, none of us know what we're doing. And it's one of my favorite comics. So that's kind of the same with this. Like, I just add detail and I just dedicate to it, and if it looks good, great, and if not, oh well, I learn for next time. So I know recently these dragons have just been slowly getting into motivational speeches. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's because I've just done so many of them by now that I just have started getting on tangents and talking less about the practicality and like the technical side of the art. So now with the line art done, it was time to clean up the sketch layer and start testing some colors. So first of all, I had this color palette in mind that I was gonna do like these oranges and reds, and then the bubble coral comes in this more like aquamarine, greenish blue color. So I had all of those in mind, but I didn't think this color palette would work as great as it did. It's kind of one of those moments where I followed my gut and tried something different, and it paid off. Because honestly, I don't know, I think this color palette is one of my favorite combos. Just having the bright oranges and the reds and the yellows paired with these more bluish and aquamarine colors. Oh, I just loved it. You guys are gonna love it at the end. It just looks so good. And we have all the colors picked out. As you guys saw, I had all the colors listed for my Copics. If you ever want to try this color palette, I'd really recommend it. It's super fun. And with that, it was time to jump in and finally color. And of course, I wanted to murder myself and do something much more complicated that took many more steps, but it ended up paying off. You know, whenever you do those harder, more complicated things, they tend to turn out better. And what I decided was, first of all, I was gonna go through and do kind of a darker outline on the bubble coral area, and then add the lighter shade to the inside, and just kind of slowly layer back and forth. And I think did I add another blue on top of it? No, I think I added the same blue over it. Yeah, so I just kind of layered back and forth to give it that kind of bubbly dimension to it. And then of course for the coral part, I also wanted to have some gradient transitions as well. So I started by putting on the orange, and then I wanted the ends of the coral to fade to like an orangey red. And I thought that would look really cool, and it does. Like, this head kind of reminds me of a lion's mane in a way, like specifically Mufasa or Simba. Just having that really bright, crazy color coming out of the head just reminds me of a lion's mane. I really, really love it. And then I wanted to make the anemone. I'm not going to be able to say this, guys. I'm going to say it so many times and just mess it up. Anemone, whatever. The things on the side, I wanted them to be the pop of color. So I decided to do yellow to pop. I know it's the same color palette or color family as like orange, but the yellow just still felt like a good pop that wouldn't take away from it. It still felt like it was together with the color palette. I'm just like not doing great today, guys. My voiceover is top notch, grade A. I am really nailing it. But yeah, basically I was making everything orange, adding some highlights and transitions of like the yellows and the reds and the darker orange, and I just really love it. And I think it looks really nice with the more bluish, greenish stomach. I just love it. I love it so much. And then I also had, I forgot to mention it in the voiceover earlier for the line art stage, I also added little barnacles, which I thought were a nice change in terms of breaking up the larger orange bits, like throwing in like a grayish white area helped with that. And I thought it was just like a nice little extra touch to it. And now for the sails part that is based off of the sea dragon, I did it in the red and then also tried to mimic kind of the patterning that you see on the sea dragon, but I made it a little different. Usually, at least from what I've seen, they're kind of like striped or splotchy on those different little, I don't think they're fins, but the little bits there, and I made them a little bit different, just kind of its own style to match the dragon look, but also kind of pay homage to the sea dragon look. And here we are, we're getting really close to finishing this up. I really love this one, guys. Like, every week I feel it gets better. Like, I'm just more and more impressed with each one that I keep making, just to gush a little bit, and I love this. And I think you guys are gonna make some amazing coral dragons. There's so many different types of coral you can use. So if you guys would like to enter and make your own coral dragon to potentially be featured in next week's video, go ahead and post it on Instagram or Twitter using the hashtag KM100dragons. But let's go ahead and look at last week's entries for the koi fish dragon. So first up, Liquid Dog. I really love that yours looks like very like airy and whimsical, and reminds me a lot of a butterfly koi. And I like that each of the, I guess you could say, limbs that you picked for it are like these big wings. I really like it. And Chris67355395, I really like yours. I know you said it was for Smogist, but I had to feature it because I just really love it, and it just has such an amazing texture to the paint job, and I like the incorporation of the yin yang. Like, it just is a really cool piece. And overall, great job, you guys. Like, there was so many cute koi fish dragons and some really cool and intimidating ones too. Like, it was a very interesting combo this week. Some of them were a little more fish based and others were a lot more dragon based, so it was a kind of interesting mix that we got this week. So I am really excited to see what you guys do with the coral dragon as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity to use a lot of different coral types, and then I guess you guys can introduce me to some new coral that I might not know about, so feel free to use some diverse and different ones that I might not know about. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by and checking out this video. And if you aren't already, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have new videos every week, and I can't wait to jump into the next dragon. I got a couple ideas for the future ones coming up for the month, and if you guys would like to share a suggestion for a dragon prompt, you're welcome to share it down in the comments below. And I also have a link to a tweet on Twitter that you're welcome to reply to, and you're welcome to join our Discord and send a suggestion there. I would just recommend say hello, introduce yourself, and then feel free to send a suggestion. But thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.